Hey, everybody, welcome back to another edition of the Fantasy Football Consistency Show. Yep, that's my voice right now. So it's all good. We're going to review week 11, heading into week 12. That's James Knight. I'm Bob Lung. We're coming back in 10 seconds. All right, we are back heading into week 12. Week 12. Are you kidding me? Next week is Halloween. Geez, Thanksgiving. We'll be in week 13 by then. Yeah, it's crazy. Playoffs are right up on us. So now is the most important time to be hyper focused. Do not make bad calls or try not to. Last week, I made 2 bad calls and actually 3 bad calls. And I snuck through with wins. I was shocked because I thought for sure I was dead. So the one league, it was Baker Mayfield in Buffalo. Good matchup. I get that. But they were calling for 30-mile-an-hour winds and snow. Sam Darnold playing against the Rams in Southern California should be a shootout, both fighting for the top spot in the NFC West. Guess who I started? Sam Darnold, 9.4 points. Now, Mayfield only got 17, but that's still more than my 9. But I still pulled out a victory there. The other one was, and this one, the thing was, I did it, couldn't remember which direction I went, thought I went the direction I thought I did and did not. So here was my thing. Kings Classic, lots of flexes. I'm sitting there deciding between Jonnu Smith and, they're playing Cincinnati. It's supposed to be windy, so maybe short passes, right? And guess who's the other guy I could have played from that same team? Kenneth Gainwell. I started Jonnu Smith. Thought I started Gainwell because I was so back and forth. Well, I started Smith. Smith got 0.0, and Gainwell scored 27. Now, again, I pulled off a victory, but boy, was I mad when I looked at it and went, no, I didn't do this. So anyway, but got lucky. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, right? But James, welcome back. Always good to see you, brother. Thanks as always for joining us. Great stuff going out there on Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Always appreciate it. How's your week going? How are you looking for your leagues that you focus on the most? Are you heading towards the playoffs? Are you still on the edge, or I don't know if there's any hope?
My top leagues, I'm doing pretty good. Happy to be here tonight. I missed it last week, and I know everybody else did. But, like I said, I'm doing pretty good. Secured that playoff spot in the Scott Fishbowl, moving along there.
Yeah, I did get that one. Yep, I did get that one.
Got that one. Got that all locked up. My main home league, I am tied for first in record, but actually have the most points, so I'm technically first and doing good there. So I'm feeling really, really comfortable. Gotten bye weeks out of the way. Need to get the injury bug out of my system a little bit. I still got Bucky Irving sitting around over there that God knows when he comes back, the week he comes back, I'm going to plug him in and feel so good about it. And he's going to be restrained to 5 touches. So, whatever. That'll probably be like the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah. And they'll let Sean Tucker run wild.
Yeah, Sean Tucker will go. He'll pull a Gainwell like he did, like Gainwell did for you, and either RB2 or 5 or something on the week, and Bucky Irving's down there with 5 carries for 8 yards. So whatever, I'll be good. Yeah. But overall, doing pretty good.
Oh, good. Kings Classic, 7-4. I think I'm in 3rd place. Feel pretty good about the playoffs there. Good team, no significant injuries, solid depth. The other league, which I did pull off the win, I'm 4-7. Now, the good thing about Kings Classic is, of course, the top 6 make it. But because it's the best of the best, there's a lot of teams that fluctuate. Pretty much 500 is your goal. If you can get to 500, you have a very good shot of sneaking in. Nice. Now, I'm 4-7. So it sounds like I'm really still out of it. But there's 4 teams ahead of me that are 5-6. So if I can get those wins, hopefully they knock each other out. Maybe I back in at 6-8, 7-7. That's what I'm hoping for. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. We'll see. We'll see how it ends up going. FSGA still tied first at 8-3. It's the other big one I'm in. Well, home league, touchdown only, 7-4, first place in my division. This year we finally switched it to 6 teams make the playoffs. It's 4, so I'm feeling good there. So not bad. Couple of the other leagues for fun, and charity type stuff. Not as good, but still a lot of fun regardless. So anyway, let's take a look at the importance of consistency. We're going to talk about the quarterback position. As we talked off air, clutch factor dropped from a little bit over 20 down to 19.84. Regardless of that, there were still only 6 quarterbacks who even qualified for a clutch game. If it would have stayed at 20, I think you said there would have been 4.
Yeah.
The amazing part was only 3 of them were probably in anybody's starting lineup. Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, maybe Brock Purdy. The other 3, or Prescott. The other 3, Justin Fields, who now has been benched. Here in the clutch game, the guy gets benched. Are you kidding me? Come on. Bryce Young and Jacoby Brissett. Now, we're going to talk about Jacoby Brissett because you've been high on him. I wish I had him. I never picked him up anywhere. Didn't think I have good backups. I have Matthew Stafford, Sam Darnold, who've been actually doing pretty well too. So I didn't go out and grab him because I didn't feel like I wanted to waste the fab money. But 5 straight clutch games, I think. Let me look real quick. I'm glancing this real quick. He is the only one. Now, granted, he had a bye week in week 8. So I'm looking at week 6 through 11. He is the only quarterback that has a perfect 5 for 5 or 6 for 6. Drake May has a miss. Josh Allen has a miss. Mayfield has 2 misses. Mahomes with a miss. Jackson Dart with a miss this past week. So the most consistent guy over the last 5 to 6 weeks is Jacoby Brissett. And that says a lot about how bad Kyler Murray has been and how much wasting money on quarterbacks is starting to become.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Jacoby Brissett? Does he keep it going? Decent schedule, at least heading towards the playoffs. Jacksonville, Tampa Bay, and the Rams.
Yeah, like I said, he's got a couple of tough games, 14 and 15, I think it is, Rams and Texans there. But I think he keeps it going out. I was kind of concerned, I'm not going to lie, this week when I knew Marvin Harrison Jr. was going to be out. Felt like it was going to be just Trey McBride, and if they bracketed him, did some stuff, they were probably going to slow Brissett down. I thought the 49ers might do that. No, that's okay. Jacoby Brissett goes out and throws for 452 yards, completes an NFL record 47 passes, and finishes his QB4 on the week. And that's without his wide receiver 1, So
yeah,
I'm looking at it, and he's at home again this week versus Jacksonville. There's not a whole lot of names I'm starting ahead of him if I have him the ability to play him this week, because if he does get Harrison back, if he does that, I mean, he's been a top 10 quarterback in pretty much every game he's played this year. On top of that, he's actually chipping in over 15 yards per game rushing. So he's getting a few rushes here and there. People forget. I remember a couple of years ago when when he went to New England or somewhere, he ended up being like their sneak quarterback at the goal line and ended up getting 4 or 5 touchdowns because he was so good at the quarterback sneaks. And I'm like, you start throwing in a rushing touchdown here or there for him, that's wild to think about what his point numbers might be.
Absolutely. Like you said, Jacksonville this week, 28th and giving up the most fantasy points to quarterbacks. Next week after that, week 13, Tampa Bay, who's 25th. The Rams, definitely tougher. They're 6th. But, hopefully you don't need that from Brissett. But if you do, who knows? I mean, it's at home. That's a divisional game. Those games are always completely different than, playing other teams. So
It's looking way far down the road, but you're looking at if there's a Week 17 championship game in your future, he gets the Cincinnati Bengals that week.
At home?
So it's in Cincinnati, though, I believe. I think it is. Yeah, it is.
And weather could be
But
ugly, but yeah, I get it. I'm just going to mention real quick about a guy that is starting to drop off quite a bit. Did not look good. In fact, looked terrible last week. And that's Justin Herbert. He is fourth in total points, 55% consistency, 0 for 2 in his last two. And last week, he looked horrendous. And they played the Bears, right? No, not the
they
Bears.
played the Jaguars. They got blown out by the
Jaguars, right. The
Yeah.
team I just said was 28th and giving up the most. And he's terrible. He was terrible. And all of his wide receivers did nothing. They were just a train wreck. And it's like, how are you a train wreck against Jacksonville? I mean, that's like playing Cincinnati or Dallas, or, I mean, there's no reason for you to be playing that poorly. It was a sunny day, very nice, warm, like Southern California. Why would you not be able to handle that? But yeah, they've looked bad the last couple of weeks, and we'll see if they get their act together. But yeah, if you're a Justin Herbert owner, and then they got to bye this week. Now then they play the Raiders in week 13, but then come back and play Philly in week 14. So yeah, keep an eye on that. All right, let's move into the running back positions. Oh, before we go, I forgot to highlight the top. So right now, Brock Purdy, 3 for 300% doesn't count. But we have a new number one, in my mind, number one, because he's played a lot of games in his highest. Because Drake May now, 82%. 82%, second in total points. At 80%, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield. Allen's first, Mayfield's 11th. Jackson Dart, of course, has been out. Brissett, 5 for 7, 71%. Mahomes, Jones, 70%. Jaden Daniels out, 67%. And Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, Caleb Williams at 60%. Not great for Stafford, but he has been pretty hot until this past week. That Seattle Rams game that was supposed to be a shootout did not become that. It was a very defensive struggle, so just wanted to highlight those. So, all right, let's move on to the running back position. We still have one 100%er in Devin Achin, 11-11, third in total points. Bucky Irving's 4 for 4, but he has been out for a while. McCaffrey, 91%. Jonathan Taylor at 90. Bijan at 90. Josh Jacobs at 90. And then at 80%, Jahmyr Gibbs, Javonte Williams, and Kyron Williams. 78, DeAndre Swift. Scatterboo's out. But then we get down to the 70%ers. Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, Travis Etienne. 3 straight for him. There was a point where it was starting to look like Tootin might be taking over. But Etienne has put that to rest real quick.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on that group up top there? Javonte is still doing well, 8th in total points. I think we all waited for him to kind of cool off, but he really hasn't.
He's probably got to be the biggest surprise of that. The rest of those names are kind of your who's who of you were picking in the first round, second rounds, maybe late second, early third, but him being there, and then obviously Scatterboo being there, but the injury to him has finished that off. Another one that kind of still surprises me seeing him there, I think was pretty much written off in the same bucket as Javonte Williams, is DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
He got hot there in the middle of the season. He's had missed 2 clutch games out of his last 3 now, but. That team, we were talking about it before the show, they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're at the top of their division right now, and he seems to be the clear-cut RB1 when he's healthy there. So, not a whole lot of surprises. We're starting to see some of those other guys, like you were saying, down in the 70s. Chase Brown has picked it back up. Derrick Henry's picked it up. Etienne's starting to creep up there towards that. He's 12th overall in points. Not a whole lot of surprises, in this group for me, other than, like I said, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift. I think a lot of people wrote those guys off early on.
Yeah. A guy that I was holding on to in Kings Classic, put him on IR, and actually had a lot of questions when this happened. from other followers, listeners, readers.
Yeah.
And, they're like, Bob, what am I supposed to do with Aaron Jones? And I'm like, you keep him. They're like, what? No, he's done. And I'm like, he's not done. He got hurt.
Yeah.
They go, he started off, a little slow. I mean, he only had one clutch game, but, we had such a quarterback jumble there. He gets hurt. He misses a number of weeks. But he came back and now put up 3 straight clutch games, so 67%. So he's really only had 2 games that he didn't earn a clutch game. And Mason's still getting some carries during the game. They're certainly allowing him to be a part of it, but most veteran coaches are not going to let veteran players get pushed aside. Hence, we had talked about earlier about what's going to happen with TreVeyon Henderson, because Ramondre Stevenson is back. So what happens? It's Mike Vrabel, so probably going to be sharing the carries as much as all you Henderson fans are going to hate it. Yeah.
That's
I know you're not happy about that.
Yeah, I am not excited about it. It does not make me happy, and I every single player ahead of him, all the way down to a guy that they just pulled off like the practice squad, had to get injured for TreVeyon Henderson to come out and get some touches. And then he reels off 28 points, 32 points in back-to-back weeks now. Ramondre Stevenson is going to come back, start the game, and we're going to watch him go to the doghouse. And that's, like you said, there's a lot of things going on in practice that we don't see. We don't see how he does in pass pro necessarily. We don't see how he reacts in certain situations. But the fantasy points, I know I'm not alone, but man, oh my God, I can't just, they're going to put the rabbit back in the bag, right? Or in the hat, like they already pulled it out. So, but I wouldn't be shocked to see Vrabel do it. Keep in mind, this is the same coach that in Tennessee was starting, what was it? Who was that expatriate that was there that he started over Derrick Henry?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, right? Yeah. That was
I can see him too. I know exactly what you're talking about.
It was something Deion Lewis, something like that. But he started him for almost 2 seasons, or at least gave him split touches with Derrick Henry. So I don't have a whole lot of faith that Vrabel, if Stevenson is able to play, he's going to get touches. He's going to steal valuable touches from Henderson. And you hit the nail on the head with Aaron Jones. They're letting Mason run between the 20s and stuff, but the valuable touches on third down, the receiving touches, and the goal line stuff seems like it's going to Jones. And he's going to stack up points as long as they keep moving the ball.
Right. I mean, the other thing, too, with TreVeyon that we have to acknowledge is that those 2 games that he went off in between the bye weeks, or out on the other each side of the bye week, was the Giants, who were ranked 30th against running backs, and then Buffalo, who's 31st. So, and that's what a lot of people don't always look into. They're like, how do you bench this guy? He went off. Well, yeah, he went off because he played 2 of the worst defenses in the NFL. If he would have played Detroit and Cleveland, then it's a different story. So, it's fair, or, either way is unfair, but that's just the way it rolls. And, now they play Cincy this week, which, of course, they're dead last. So we'd love to see Henderson out there if you're a Henderson owner. But, and then now, wait a minute. They couldn't be playing the Giants again. I must have looked at that wrong. Let me see. I thought I had that lined up. Maybe I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Oh, they played the Jets in Cincinnati. No.
It was the Jets, yeah.
It was the Jets. Yeah, they played the Atlanta and the Jets or something. Yeah, it was Atlanta and the Jets. Atlanta's 29th. Sorry, I looked at the wrong one. But, so they do have 2 great matchups coming up for the running backs. If anything, go trade for Ramondre Stevenson and just say, he's not going to get any carries. You might as well just give him to me.
And sure enough, 100 plus yards from scrimmage and 2 touchdowns this week on that terrible. Yeah, it's happening. I could see it. Absolutely.
So be interesting. So, all right, let's move to the wide receiver position. 10.18, still right around where the running backs are. Top of the list, still perfect. JSN, baby, Jackson Smith Najigba, first in total points. George Pickens, surprisingly, has now moved into second place, or tied for second with Olave, Justin Jefferson at both 90%. Pickens is fourth, Olave is 11th, Justin is 13th. Puka Nacua, who has been hurt, but still playing. I guess he has been playing. But he's 89. CD Lamb's 86. Amon-Ra 80. Zay Flowers is 80, which may surprise a lot of people. Zay Flowers is actually having a very consistent year. Not big numbers, getting those 10 to 12, 10 to 15. That just keeps him as a solid player. Drake London, Nico Collins, 78%. Rashee Rice, and Tyreek and Mike Evans are out. The last one, of course, is then Tyrone McMillan, 73%. Then we get down to a guy who didn't get a lot of love draft-wise. 2 years ago, I drafted him because he went to Houston, and I didn't think he would slow down. And he didn't until week 8, and then he got hurt and missed the rest of the season. But that is Stephon Diggs. He's put up 7 straight clutch games. No, I'm sorry, 7 out of 8 clutch games over the last 8 weeks. Now 8 out of 11, 73%, 14th in total points. He's getting the job done. But then again, Drake May is, again, we just showed, second in total points. So has to throw it to somebody. It's usually Diggs and then whatever mess of whoever they decide to throw to that week. But whether it's Pop Douglas or Butte or whoever, but Diggs is the man getting the ball, getting the targets. I don't see him slowing down unless he gets hurt again.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. Yeah, Diggs he looks to be the alpha there. He's playing like the alpha, and the weird thing about it is he's been quiet too. He hasn't really been that diva type receiver that a lot of people thought he's always been. And like you said, people are talking about Drake May for MVP, and it's basically Diggs and some cast-offs that are catching the ball around him. And we've already talked about injuries at running back for the Patriots. So May looks like he's going to keep it up. He's the number 2 scoring quarterback. We saw that when we highlighted the quarterbacks. He's now taking over the top spot for consistency there. I don't see, like you said, I don't see Diggs slowing down here. I see minimum he's probably going to be hitting clutch games each game, and then he's very, very capable of breaking out, as shown by the fact that he's about to creep up in the top 12 as an actual wide receiver 1,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. 2 guys I just want to highlight and let you talk about them too. Courtland Sutton, Rome Odunze. Over the last 3 weeks, these 2 have both only had 1 out of 3 clutch games. Courtland Sutton's 21st, 64% consistency overall. Odunze is 60%. Both Sutton and Odunze started off hot. Odunze started off 4 for 4. He has now went 2 for his last 6, which is only 33%. Are these guys going to bounce back? What is happening with them? Is it just teams are double covering them? What is happening with these 2? You and I talked about Odunze. I think Odunze's issue is Caleb Williams doesn't make good decisions in the backfield when he's back to pass. He might look to Odunze quick, but I think he gets back there. I think his eyes wander too much. And so either makes bad passes to Odunze or he sees something more wide open, which is a good thing, but that's not your playmakers. So, a check down to a tight end's easy. We can all do that. But your thoughts on those guys?
And I do. I see both of them coming down a little bit here, and maybe there's some hope for Odunze, maybe for Sutton, but it's a tale of 2 different players here, 2 different directions, 2 different things that I think are happening. I agree with you on Odunze. I think that Caleb Williams and that seems to be something that he's done since he came out of college. He looks for the easy, wide open plays and goes to do that stuff. He's not that quarterback that'll throw his guy open and do that kind of thing yet. Maybe he develops that, maybe he doesn't, maybe he gets the decision making. But like you said, he's taking those easy check downs, taking some easy stuff, doing a lot of that. And unless Odunze gets, no attention whatsoever, he's just not going to get fed, I think. And I think that's going to hurt his fantasy numbers going down the stretch. And they've got a lot of mouths to feed there, it feels like. We were just talking about DJ Moore before the show, only having one catch over the
Right.
last 2 weeks after having a huge week. Luther Burden, the rookie there. They've got Komet, who had a decent week last week, and then Loveland, the rookie tight end, who's done well. So, I don't think as much as we would like for it in fantasy, Caleb Williams is never going to force feed him, is not going to kind of give him the targets he needs.
Mm-hmm.
And early on at the beginning of the season, I think nobody expected him to blow up the way he did. He was open a lot more. He wasn't getting bracket coverage, like you were saying, doubled up. So that probably is what led to that. I think it'll be tough sledding for him moving on. Odunze, I think he'll have some pretty good weeks here and there, but probably tough sledding. On the other side, and Courtland Sutton, number one wide receiver in Denver. A lot of people talk about how he's consistent. He does a lot of things. He's always, I'm a Broncos fan. I've watched him for years. Right. He's always been able to have that contested catch, that big thing. He's a big target in the end zone. But it seems like he's starting to settle in as that sacrificial X receiver in the Broncos offense, which, for fantasy purposes, that's kind of the death nail. If you get that sacrificial X where you're on the X spot, you're not being moved around the motion on the line and doing stuff. Sean Payton and Bo Nix and them, they seem to be absolutely content with letting Troy Franklin run that and do that stuff as that guy. And he has lapped and started pacing well ahead of Courtland Sutton in targets and doing all kinds of things. And that's even with Marvin Mims being a little banged up over the last couple of weeks too. So Sutton, again, I think if you've got him, he's starting to turn into that touchdown dependent type of wide receiver that if you don't get that touchdown that week, you're probably not cracking double digits. He's just he's not getting those 8 to 10 targets. And I don't think Odunze will either. So these guys might steadily start falling even further down this list, I believe.
Yeah, no, I have Odunze in my FSGA league that's 8-3. The good thing is my other 2 wide receivers are JSN and Harrison, maybe. No. Who's the other? It's another. And I'm going to brain dead. Ohio State guy. Olave.
Yeah.
So luckily those 2 handle my consistency. And Odunze, and again, the first few weeks, those 3 were just crushing it, and I was winning by a lot. Now I'm squeaking by, but I'm still winning. But all right, let's move to the tight end position. Still the highest of the 3 running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, 10.43. Keep having the good weeks. Another good week for tight ends. Trey McBride, I mean, he's doing the Travis Kelce from a couple years ago. He just keeps getting further and further away from everybody else. 1 week Ferguson has a good week. Next week he gets a 0. 1 week, Tyler Warren has a good week. Then the next week he doesn't earn a clutch game. It's just been so ugly. Right now we have for the players that have played at least 7 games. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tight ends that are over 50% consistent. We say this every week, so nobody's surprised. 70% is Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren, Juwan Johnson. Obviously, the biggest surprise, Juwan Johnson this year. Keeps just putting up numbers. He had a bye week this past week, so did Warren, so we didn't get any much out of him. Dallas Goedert was super red hot. He's now had 2 straight 0s. He's starting to drop off. George Kittle, since he's been back, he's 3 out of 4. Darren Waller, Tucker Kraft, all hurt. Kelce, 60%, 3rd in total points, but he's put up 3 straight clutch games. Certainly seems to be clicking well again with Mr. Mahomes, which is a good thing because I have him in both Vikings classic. Dalton Schultz has been red hot, 4 out of his last 5, mostly because of the fact that 1, LA has a healthy Nico Collins, and 2nd, Davis Mills has been the quarterback. And hey, when you're a youngster and you look at Collins, he's not open. You're looking at Schultz, pretty much what they've got. So that's been working well if you're a Schultz fan, which one of my dynasty leagues has him. So he's been actually doing pretty well because it's tight end premium. So it's doing pretty good for me. And like I said, then we're at 50% and below. Well, Schultz was 50% as well. Your thoughts on that group? I just try to get somebody out there each week. Thank goodness I drafted Kelce. As we had talked back in the summer, Kelce was going in that 5th, 6th round. I just could not pass him up, and I'm glad I didn't. Because McBride was going early. Of course, Bowers went super early and is struggling to get back into the swing. 2 out of his last 3, but Geno Smith's still there, and I don't think he's going to get that monster game in his first game back, but getting clutch games is good enough. But I think Brock Bauer owners wants those big games more often than not. Before we look at some of the guys, another guy's had a pretty decent week. Weeks has been Mark Andrews is 3 straight now, 40%. But again, your thoughts on this group?
Yeah, and, looking at him, I feel the same way as you do. Travis Kelce seems to be clicking again. Rice comes back. People thought he was going to take touches from Kelce. That receiving tree is starting to narrow down more and more and more. And I think with them losing to Denver last week, we're going to see Kelce get trusted even more. I think they were kind of holding him back a little bit early, knowing that they wanted to make this run. But now that their backs are against the wall, I think we're going to see a ton of Kelce, a ton of Rice for the rest of the season. Mahomes is probably going to turn into that. I don't know, back in the day, you remember when Tom Brady and the Patriots' backs would go against the wall, and then it was like 12 straight targets to Julian Edelman or whoever,
Right.
Like, I feel like that we're about to see that with Mahomes and Kelce here. And I think another funny thing to point out on the tight ends is that Kittle missed, 6 weeks, right? Something like that. Was that right? Or 5 weeks? Like 5 weeks, something like that. Yeah. And he's still tight end 20 on the year overall. So, I just wanted to throw that in there too, because last 2 weeks he's been tight end 2. The only person obviously pacing ahead of him is Trey. I can't be stopped McBride because that's like we were talking about. Jacoby Brissett is tied to him, and you get Harrison back. They seem like they're just rolling along. The Andrews, like you said, Lamar Jackson came back. They've got some chemistry there, and some things seem to be really, really clicking again there. I think he, that's his security blanket there as well. The same thing you talked about with Schultz with Davis Mills. One of the guys that surprises me here that's still hanging around, and he's 2 of his last 3, is A.J. Barner right there from Seattle.
Yeah, monster week again.
When they let Fant go, I thought it was wheels up for Elijah Arroyo, that rookie they drafted out of Miami. I thought for sure, and then, first couple of weeks, I was like, Barner's getting some run. They're going to let Arroyo go. But he's 5 out of 10. He's 50%. He's 2 out of his last 3. And in the games that he's actually been in there, he's tight end 19 on the year. He's one big tight end week away from probably jumping up in the top 12. So
yeah, definitely. The one I just wanted to highlight, he's 11th in total points, which is shocking to me. He's still in the top 12, and that's Zach Ertz. He's at 0 for 4 the last 4 weeks. He's only 36% consistent on the year. I know he had some good games in the beginning. I just didn't think he was scoring enough points to keep him in that top 12. But there he is. Just in case you want to know how bad the top 12 is. Hunter Henry's 13th. He's had 7 straight zeros. And they have a bye this week. Right this week? No,
they got the Bengals.
Their bye's in 14. You're right. But yeah, so those are been surprisingly bad. So, if you're looking for people, Colby Parkinson had a clutch game a couple weeks ago, did not this past week, but they just put Tyler Higbee on IR.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling for tight ends, may not be a bad pickup. So keep an eye on that one as well. So anyway, there we are. James, tell everybody where they can find you on the Twitter machine and all over Big Guy Fantasy Sports as always.
Absolutely. You can find me on Big Guy Fantasy Sports. I've got the Game of Fantasy Points that comes out every Monday before the Monday night game, has a preview in that, and it goes over the consistency games for the weekend. And then on Wednesdays, I also have the Under the Radar that comes out, so be sure to check that out. And check out all the great consistency tools there. Everything that we get from here, everything I get from the articles, we push through stuff. We talk about finishing tops of our leagues and being up there. It's all coming from this, man. So exactly. couldn't push it enough. So absolutely.
Awesome. Always love it. All right. As always, you can find me on Twitter, Bob_Lung. Again, this weekend we'll have the usual stuff. James will be out there, I'm sure, and DFS, prop bets, all that stuff. All the articles will be out there. Sorry, we're not doing the podcast. We kind of lost our studios, but hey, you're getting the data, you're getting the information. I got a face for radio. You don't want to see this on a Saturday morning. So keep an eye on those articles. So for James Knight, I'm Bob Lung. Everybody take care. God bless. We'll see you soon.